welcome back. Today I'm gonna go see Kinds of Kindness, which is the new Yorgos film. I wasn't sure whether to film a come with me or not for this one, but I've heard it's very dark, bleak, and I did cover his last film, Poor Things. My favorite film from his catalog is Killing of a Sacred Deer, and since then I feel like he has really transitioned out of thriller to more dark, bleak comedy, and this one sounds like no exception. But I am nervous about the runtime because it goes for 2 hours and 45 minutes. It's an anthology film starring Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons, and William Dafoe. It also has Margaret Qualley, Hong Chow, and Joe Alwyn. The movie is about a man who breaks free, a cop who questions his wife, and a woman who is searching for the extraordinary. But I'm gonna bring you along spoiler free. Of course, it's an anthology, so I don't know if they're intertwined. I believe they might be intertwined, different stories. I have not watched the trailer. I'm going in basically blind, which is a big commitment to a long film, but I feel very lucky that I can go see this in the cinemas today, so let's just go. I'm gonna tell you about it, whether it's worth your time, worth your money, and worth your patience. I like a long film, and it's a Sunday here, so there's nothing better than getting cozy, bringing some snacks, and going to the cinema. Let's get to it. I just got out of Kinds of Kindness. I enjoyed that a lot. I really liked it. I felt like it was more of the old kind of like early stripped back Yorgos, more, not as, you know, intense as Dogtooth, but more just the obscureness, which is, one of his first films, Alps, is quite similar in its tone. The film is broken up into 3 different segments, and all of the actors play different characters in each segment, which I did not know. I thought it was going to focus on a different character in each of them and maybe have them intertwined. I wouldn't say they're necessarily intertwined, but they are kind of connected, although I don't really feel like there is a flowing theme. I'm sure that there is meant to be, but I don't think it's a very obvious one. The films also all have the same kind of stylization and tone, and this is where Yorgos really shines because it is all about this obscure, almost fantasy-like storytelling where everything is uncomfortable and awkward to watch, very bleak and very dark, and he does not care. He wants the audience to be uncomfortable, in fact, and so each story is very dry and quite long. So I'd say, it goes for 2 hours and 45 minutes, so I'd say like just under an hour each of the segments are. They're pretty equal, but they are long. But I feel like it needs to be that way to have a conclusion. And although I wouldn't call it poetic, the conclusion each segment has, it is a nice wrap up, and I don't know, there's just something fun and silly about it. Even though what happens in this film and in these segments are horrendous, I was shocked. My jaw was on the floor at some points. It's almost like Todd Solondz's storytelling, where it's that really dry, awkward, almost cringe bait humor. You're meant to laugh at these stories. They're meant to make you uncomfortable and give you just a unique feeling when you go to the cinema. And that I feel like is a very unique thing at the cinema today. You don't get to see comedy dramas that are as bleak as these films. And let me tell you, they do have, I wouldn't say it's horror, but it's very disturbing, which is, you know, what my channel is all about. So I love disturbing cinema, which, you know, I focus on a lot. So this I would put in a disturbing list for sure. I wouldn't say it is as disturbing as many of the films I talk about at all, but it's very bleak. The music was really interesting. They used very intense, almost like choirs throughout it to really emphasize moments and do some of the storytelling through the music. And pairing that with these intense moments of sound with silence is really fun. And the editing I thought was really interesting. They have a lot of crossfades, fading from shot to shot as the reverse shot instead of just cutting back and forth in a conversation. Not really like it happens in all conversations, but they'll fade shots into each other, and it gives this kind of dreamy feel to the film, that with the music, and then also I guess the timing and how long the film is. It feels like this drawn out nightmare. Each segment feels like a nightmare. And I would say also the way the segments were structured made them very similar. You kind of get dropped into a situation and you're kind of trying to figure it out because it's so obscure what is happening. It takes you a little bit to get into each story, and I really liked that discovery process instead of just going in and, you know, watching someone go through something and you're already in a situation and you're trying to figure out who's who and what's their relationship with each other. And I just thought it was a really interesting way of putting it together, and it just made it a little bit more fascinating, especially for something that was long. It felt like each time I was trying to figure out something new, and I don't know, it was just like a really fun experience. I wouldn't say this film was for everybody. It is very slow. I do think that the timing was fine for me. I've heard people say that they didn't like how long it was, which is what I was worried about, but I thought it made so much more sense to have them drawn out because you're meant to feel uncomfortable and they really want you to sit in that situation. I don't really feel like there were points where they should have cut anything. I liked that effect and the awkwardness. I actually thought the silence and every detail put into each story was very significant to making it a rounded story. So I actually really liked the time. If you are worried about the time, maybe watch it when it comes out on VOD or like digital streaming. And you could even watch each segment as its own thing, like every night watch a new segment, because it is a lot to take in. And one of the downsides to having such a long movie that has different segments as an anthology is by the time you're in your last segment, you kind of forget and you've lost the magic of that first one and the reaction. But overall, I think I enjoyed that a lot more than I anticipated. But that was really more my style. You guys know this. I love bleak cinema. I like disturbing cinema. And I like that awkward... Sorry, the lights just went off in the car park. And I like that awkwardness. I love that in cinema. There's just something about it that makes me feel uncomfortable. And my main goal when I go to the cinema is to have a feeling that follows me afterwards. I don't want to go see a film and not think about it the next day or, you know, completely forget about it as soon as I get back in my car. I want it to have an impact on me, and that is one of the reasons I chase that with disturbing cinema and horror, because those are the ones that have the biggest impact. They're the ones that stay with you, get your heart racing, and instill like an intense emotion in you. So that's what I like. And if it does it in an awkward, dry sense, I'm still very interested in it, especially if it's such a unique setting, which I thought these ones were. Obviously, the acting was superb as well. I will say though, if you are worried or sensitive about any content, you definitely should look at the content warnings for this film, because there are a few things that definitely push the line, push an envelope, but it's meant to be shocking. It's intended to be shocking, and the craziest thing at the end of the day is it is a comedy. And that was one of the best parts about seeing that at a cinema. I haven't seen such a fun, easy to watch film at a cinema that isn't meant to be taken so seriously, and everyone's just laughing at the most horrendous things that these people are going through, absolutely cackling at some really disturbing scenes, because it's so shocking in such an uncomfortable way that there's no other way to take it. People just start laughing. So that was a fun experience. Anyway, I'm gonna give this film personally, I'm going to give it 8 out of 10, but I do understand completely that this will not be everyone's cup of tea. A slow movie that's awkward, has some bleak moments, but there's not a lot to it. It's not like a deep layered watch. It's an easy watch. I know that's not going to be for everybody, but I really liked it. I liked the vibe. For scare, I would give it a 1. Over 0, but it does have a little bit of gore in it, not too much. For originality, I would give it a 6, I think. I would love to see if Yorgos did a series. In this, he is looking at relationships, which is why I think so much about Todd Solondz, because a lot of his work is going through weird dynamics and relationships between people and how we interact with each other. And that's why this film kind of reminds me of some of his work. And I feel like it would be really cool to see a Black Mirror-esque you know, an anthology TV show with this kind of style, this kind of cringe, awkward bleakness, instead of seeing something that's focused like Black Mirror on technology. It'd be really cool to have an anthology series like this. I don't think he would do it, but yeah, this is very different to his last film, I think. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. If you do like these videos, don't forget to subscribe. And also, don't forget to check out these videos that I did recently. I did a wrap up of everything I watched last month, and also I did a video letting you know everything you can watch this month at home. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.